Ever wonder what the climb was like for some of the most influential figures in the music industry? How did they navigate this crazy world of music, and what stories do they have to tell?
Really, really work, keep your head on straight, and surround yourself with good people. I think it's just kind of like, that's the little recipe.
This is Road to the Arena, a series by Triad Music, whose goal is to create cutting-edge music technology designed to eliminate the mystery surrounding money in the music industry. All right, Halle, welcome to beautiful East Nashville, Tennessee.
The Russell Hotel.
That's right, the Russell Hotel, 1-for-1 hotel.
Hey, is this why we do it here? Because the Drew Russell Hotel, is that the deal?
100%.
Yeah, I gotcha.
They named it after you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, it was selfish. The whole street is named after me that it's on, but it's a 1-for-1 hotel. So every room that's booked here, they help house a homeless person in East Nashville.
Oh, that's incredible.
Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Look at that.
So cool.
Wow, I learned something every day.
The stained glass is insane.
I know. It's a beautiful hotel. It really is. So thank you, the Russell Hotel, for letting us. Yes.
All right, Halle. So we're going to start with just random questions, and then we'll get into your story.
Perfect.
First up, is AI going to ruin the entire world or the music industry or both or everything? Or helpful tool or something in between?
I think there's always going to be extremes of everything. And I think some people will take it way, 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 way too far. And then some people will use it as a good little tool, and it'll be a great thing.
I think people
That was a very PC answer, but
You're doing well. Good job, Pete.
Thank you.
With your training, or whoever the PR firm is. Yeah. Do you have a PR agent? No, anyway. Well, don't worry. We'll break it down.
It's just my overthinking.
No. What do you think, Wendy?
Do I think it's going to ruin everything? No. I think it's going to enhance. I think people can abuse it just like they can abuse everything else in life. But I think that I think it could be a really cool tool. I think it'll be enhance.
Yeah. So like, did the internet help the world or hurt the world?
You could argue either side.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be the same thing with AI.
Look at social media. Look at TikTok. Without TikTok, I mean, look at how many artists we'd never hear from if it wasn't for TikTok.
True. And also think about how much time, energy, and effort I was spending on trying to figure out when I get in my car where I should go next. Now it just suggests like go to Starbucks. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Normally I do go to Starbucks when I get in my car.
That is kind of scary.
Or like, I just open my phone and it's like, you should switch gyms. And it's because, somebody was talking about that gym. So yeah, I don't have to think, which is good.
Yeah, and the ads and everything.
Right.
That's like, I want to try that toothpaste. And then all of a sudden you get an ad for that toothpaste. And
exactly.
This is so convenient.
You don't even have
really creepy.
You don't even have to search for anything anymore. I love it. It's just right there telling you where to spend your money.
It's perfect. Just take it
The good thing is we can just tell our husbands and boyfriends, like, this is what we want for Christmas, and just talk in their phone. Like, please buy me that car. Please buy me that car. And then all of a sudden the car pops up.
Have you seen those videos of the girls that like take their boyfriend's phone? They're like, princess cut diamond, princess cut.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Hey, do you have a princess cut diamond?
I don't. I have an
Good.
cut.
I love your ring, by the way. It's beautiful.
So that is beautiful. But I happen to know, because I'm a little weird, actually what I do is it's the rabbit hole thing. Yeah. I go down them. But I happen to know that the most divorces of any ring type are princess cut.
Really?
Yeah. So my wife had a princess cut diamond, and we literally got rid of it.
Are you kidding?
I think I told this. Yeah, I talked about this in another episode, but yeah, we got rid of it. We sold it
because of the statistics. Because
of the stats.
Who decided? Let's break down engagement rings and the cuts of them.
Yeah. Who? And
figure out what is most likely to get divorced. That's wild to me.
That is wild.
It probably started with like I needed like a new dog food.
We're gonna need you to.
And that's how I wound up with the statistics.
Someone really did a case study on that. That's wild.
Yeah, it's out there, and it could have changed by now, but we got rid of it and we sold it on a website called IDoNowIDon't.com.
Oh, no.
Oh my goodness,
that feels like worse luck than keeping the princess cut. I don't know why.
Yeah, well, no, I mean it was just they just bought diamond rings like crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But the weird part was I saw a friend from town who I will not name, and I've never even told them this, who is in the music industry that had a divorce that was on there selling their diamond.
Oh my.
And it was like, oh my Lord.
You can see who's selling what?
Well, like a lot of because it was a two-sided marketplace.
Understood.
So yeah, you could, like your vendor name, you could probably select to anonymize it. but they didn't. And I was like, oh my God, no way. But we sold ours. It was fine.
Okay, back to music. Back to music.
So AI.
Yes, AI.
Useful tool.
Yes.
All right, Wendy, we got a question for Halle?
Well, actually, I just want to know what you're doing now. And like, I want to know, single coming out, single came out. Where are we? What's going on?
Just had an EP come out June 21st.
Which I love, by the way.
Crisis.
My daughters and I like replay it. You
Let's
have it?
go.
It's the best. It's so
Let's
good.
go.
Yes.
I love your daughters. Yeah, Quarter Life Crisis. It was, out June 21st. I am kind of in this like studio realm right now again, which is awesome. I'm hitting the road in September. So we're trying to get everything ready to go before then and have some more music coming out.
I'm so excited. We're so excited about it.
That's awesome. Are you hitting the road solo tour? Are you opening?
I'll be opening for Mason Ramsey.
For Mason Ramsey.
For 40 dates this fall.
40?
Wow.
That's amazing.
It's going to be great.
Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing. That's so
It's
cool.
going to be so fun. We went out this spring together too, and it was a blast. He's so talented.
I'm so excited for that. That'll be cool.
It's going to be good.
It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's really been awesome to watch him move from a novelty act into a real artist, and he's crushing it.
He's crushing
And
it.
I caught him. Yeah, I caught him at a. And you know what? A lot of people have. We talked about this in another episode with Hunter, where he was saying for a while there was like, if you were Disney or Nickelodeon or something like that, you were kind of written off. But now we've got all of these stars, massive. Like the Olivia Rodrigos and
Sabrina
the Ariana
Carpenter,
Grande, Sabrina Carpenter, Miley Cyrus.
Right.
So
And
he's
icons.
He's killing it.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us your story. I want to go back to the very beginning. Like, when did you know you wanted to be a country music artist? When did you know?
So I started playing music when I was about 13 years old. My parents split. Let's just get right into it, shall we? So my parents split when I was about 12, and I genuinely used guitar, music, writing, all that as just kind of this outlet for me. It was just me alone in my room. Like, I just wanted to get my feelings out somewhere. And I was a very private person in that way. So I just always thought, it's just me and my guitar and whatever. And I didn't know my family could literally hear me through all the air vents and everything. I found that out later. But I just fell in love with it. I did it kind of as just this little like hobby no one knew about, and then just fell more and more in love. Guitar, the love of guitar came way before the love of songwriting. But I started like almost writing lyrics to accompany whatever I was playing, and just, I don't know, I fell in love with it. I don't have any musicians in my family, but my mom writes poetry, so I think that might be something in me from that. I was about 16 years old when I decided that this is what I wanted to do. You get into high school and people start talking about next steps, and I grew up in a college town in Columbia, Missouri, so there's naturally like, if you don't know what you're doing, go to Mizzou and just like figure it out there. And about that age is when I figured out this is
what you want to do. When did you come down to Nashville?
It was actually a few years later. Excuse me. A few years later, I, right out of high school, moved to Kansas City because my family all went there after. So I followed them thinking I'd stay for like 3-4 months and just kind of get my feet under me and eventually get to Nashville. And I fell in this show loop, and it was really, really necessary. I think looking back, I'm like, why didn't I move to Nashville faster? I was there for 3.5 years. But I needed it so bad. I think from a personal standpoint, just like live a little bit of life outside of like my Columbia bubble I'd been in my whole life, but also just like confidence building in my ability, like my playing ability, and also just confidence in who I am as a person before getting here. Because I think if I would have gotten here at 18 years old and been told no once or twice, I would have just like, it would have just crushed me.
Right.
And I think that 3-4 years was very, very necessary to build up a lot of resilience. And then finally got here in 2019.
Wow. And then COVID.
And then, I got 1 solid year in, and then COVID.
Oh my gosh. But you stayed. You didn't give up. You stayed through COVID.
No.
You just wrote, or what did you do during COVID? Did you just...
Do you want to?
We got Mike Slade here.
Yay.
Oh, wow.
Come on, Mike.
Here, will you let him in, Wendy?
Come on out here.
So, I got here in 2019 and had 1 solid year just kind of writing and networking, going out all the time, meeting people as you do. And then 2020, everything shuts down, and it sounds horrible, and I know what a tragedy it was for so many people, but it honestly served me super well. Like the whole pandemic thing gave me a second to like focus in on an online audience and like really I just kind of build that out. And I didn't know, no one knew what the whole music industry was going to turn into really shortly after that, and how many things were going to change and go towards that like content mode and online mode and all that kind of stuff. So
it did accelerate it, didn't it?
It did,
Yeah,
extremely. So it was nice to, obviously there was a lot of hardships that came with being locked in your house and stuff, but
was kind of nice.
It was kind of.
Were you on the boat?
No, that was
that would have
way
been
later.
so fun. Like, just take the boat out.
That would have been a dream for sure. But no, I was not. But yeah, I just played a ton of online little, like, you remember those live streams and stuff you do during COVID? I did a lot of those, a lot of interviews, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. And
that's so cool.
Just tried to build a fan base, posted covers all the time, and yeah.
I love it. I love her. Like I became obsessed with her when I met her a couple months ago.
Really?
The girls and I were just like, okay,
where did you meet?
Love her. I met her at Losers.
Which is
a bar.
It's a bar filled with.
Is that your house?
There's also winners.
At my house. She came over to my house.
It's called Losers.
Nice
We called it Losers.
That's funny. But Halle, isn't there a part? There's a part of your story, right, where you're like, I remember this deeply from our first conversation, where you're booking your own radio tour.
Yeah.
Tell that.
No.
Wait,
sorry,
what's a radio tour?
No. I booked a radio tour for a different artist. So when I was in Kansas City, I had no idea how to book a show. I had no idea how to even play a show. I didn't even know what like a 1/4-inch cable was. Like there were so many things like I had to learn still, and you don't know until you know it. So I remember going to like all these different coffee shops, and I literally would Google music venues near me or like places with live music and just get a list and literally just show up with my guitar in hand in these places and just be like, if you ever need someone to play, like, here's my little business card, and like just did it like that, and then follow up over email, and was just trying to build this thing. And I remember getting my first gig at Black Dog Coffee House, which no longer exists, unfortunately. But they were like, yeah, you can come play 3 hours, play for tips. And I was like elated that I got an opportunity to play.
That was just you and an acoustic guitar.
Yeah. But one day I was at a music store and just started talking to the owner there, and he was saying there's another artist in town and she is looking for someone to like mentor kind of or whatever. So I ended up hitting her up on Facebook, and we connected, I think later that day or maybe the following, and we hit it off, and she was getting ready to go on a radio tour, but like had no idea how to start it off yet. So I ended up meeting up with her, like, I don't know technically what his title was, but some kind of PR or something, right? And he's calling stations like crazy trying to get this thing set up for her, and it's just him and I going there at 9 to 5 every single day, just calling these stations as like a free internship kind of thing, just calling. She's a Kansas City artist and she wants to come by. We ended up scheduling 70 stations across 7 states in 7 weeks.
Wow.
You mean physically going to each station?
Well, so I wasn't supposed to at first. She was, but I just did the whole setup calls whenever, and then she ended up adding me on as like I'm her little like assistant kind of thing. I don't even know what my title would have been either, but so I went to 70 stations with her, and we went all over the Midwest. And
did you perform too, or just her?
No, I just got to like watch and learn and learn a lot about radio and how all that works and how it doesn't, and like all the in between, and just like things to do, things to not do, and it was great. It was such a good learning experience, and it took about 6 months of just that, and then after that's when I started booking my own gigs.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
what a great way to learn.
No, you're independent still, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love this.
That.
Yeah, I love it too.
Right.
Yeah, a record label would have spent $1 million to figure out that radio tour.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah. And it was just me and this guy Gary just harassing DJs across the Midwest, just being like, let her come by. Like,
But wait, so how did you get into call? Nobody answers their phone anymore. How'd you get a hold of all these people?
I don't. This is like 2017 or 18, I guess. And I would do like all, how girls, like we can just find anything on anyone on the internet. Yeah. And so I feel like that was like really what I brought to the table.
Girls and Mike Slade and Drew Russell. We all have
freaking
this skill.
Yeah. I feel like I really got to bring that to the table and just sell it.
Was once possibly a weakness. In this case, a very big strength.
Yeah, they call me crazy. But no, I'm just kidding. But,
Useful.
So you stalked the DJs, slid into their DMs.
No, it was exactly like that though. I just like search all over the internet to find like a direct number to a radio station or an email for someone besides like an info email, and just hit them up from every angle. And eventually they're like, what? Like, what do you want? And I'm like, hi. And then I'm like, I don't know. It worked out. Yes. Like, it was beautiful. I don't know if that would still work today or not, but it was
great
awesome.
Training.
Did you know?
It is great.
Do you know if you went to US 99 in Chicago? Do you know if you went there?
I don't think we went to Chicago.
Okay.
I don't think.
I just have an experience buying a fake ticket to a show that US 99 was sponsoring, and it was like Darius Rucker, Sam Hunt. This is when Body Like a Back Road was number 1 on Hot 100, and Megan and I, my wife and I, we get these fake tickets, And we get to the show, we're all excited, and they're like,
Why fake tickets? Did you?
Well, it was a scammer. You know, it was on
so they
StubHub.
scammed
We
you.
bought them on StubHub, but then we get them in the mail, and apparently they're fake. I mean, they looked real, but
I thought maybe you were making fake tickets.
Yeah, right.
oh yeah. Well, that would be like me from a personality standpoint, but I did not in this case do that. Okay, so we bought them from somebody else who's a worse person than me. And we get there and they're like, sorry, these are
one? Where?
open the door, run through. Yeah, so we bought them and I just remember like all dejected going across the street. Like, it's okay, we'll have a glass of wine, it's fine. And then I just hop on Twitter and like DM the production manager for the radio station. And he like gets right back to me. It's like, oh, I hate scammers. Come meet me at the front entrance.
No way.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And maybe he didn't know maybe you were the scammer, which is so
Yeah,
weird.
good point.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
We
like,
could've just made
'cause-
that up.
Yeah, because I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, I showed him
I
the fake
wouldn't, but-
tickets. I'm like, I bought these on StubHub. And then,
Right.
yeah. So then he gave me 2 tickets in like the 3rd row.
That's cool.
And I just remember I messaged him back like an hour into the show. These seats suck.
and you never heard anything back.
The next day I got a bottle of bourbon and dropped it off at the station.
That's sweet.
That's really cool.
You got
But
two,
yeah.
you got 2 tickets to paradise. Yeah.
But that's like, I mean, I guess that's just an example of you never know. I guess if
Yeah.
you just law of averages, if you try enough radio stations, you never know. Somebody might
Exactly.
respond to a DM or whatever it is.
So true.
All right, so COVID, you're building your online presence. At a certain point in time, though, you kind of pivot. I shouldn't say pivot. It grows into streaming and management and all this stuff that's kind of happening now. How did that all go?
I was recording throughout the early months of COVID. I got in the studio, I think, in February, and then March is when everything shut down. And after a couple months, my producer and I started kind of like just working together one-on-one, and built out the final EP, which is my first release. And then
Which she just released, by the way.
no, that was my first release.
Oh, the first release.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
it's
okay.
my first EP.
And what year was that?
2020 is when
Okay,
it came out.
okay.
So we get to July it's probably like late May at this point, but I'm deciding like I can either wait for this whole thing to be over, the whole pandemic thing. Like we don't know at this point how long it's going to last. And I can either wait to release or I can go ahead and move forward with it. Is there a bird in here?
Yeah, it's a bird. It's definitely a bird.
What a wonderful place East Nashville is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bird.
We house the homeless and the
It's
birds.
so sweet.
I
can't
know,
believe
it's so
that here.
sweet.
But yeah, I just kind of decided I don't know what the world looks like. I've never released anything before, so I'm really trying to like make this first release cool and great. And May hits, and I'm like, we don't know how much longer this is gonna last. Let's just release. So I released my first single in July of 2020, and then 2 more up until December, and then the whole EP came out in December on my birthday, December 11th. And it was this cool first, like I've been doing music now at this point for like 5 years, like 5.5, somewhere in there, full time. Like, I mean, I shouldn't say full time. I was waitressing in radio stations and all the things, but yeah, I got to release this EP, and it was such a magical moment because it was like a little birthday present to myself, and like it was just cool. I just did this out of like I made songs I loved. I spent that whole first year writing the songs and just getting them ready, and then released it during a pandemic, which was so odd, but it worked out kind of because I had so much time to do these interviews and things that I think built this awareness. And so when the project hit, Whatever You Do is the single that kind of took off from that project, and it was in March. So slowly it had been working its way up some Spotify playlists, and I guess it was just streaming super well, so they kept moving it up kind of to like the next rung of visibility. And in March, I remember getting told it was getting added to Hot Country, which is, as y'all know, like the biggest country playlist you can get added to. And I'm a completely independent. I don't have management. I don't have booking. I don't have anyone representing me at all. So it was just like this, it was a huge shock and a huge opportunity. And a couple weeks later, I get a DM from J.R. Schumann, who at the time was the program director for Sirius XM. And he just lets me know he heard my song and he loves it and wants to have a Zoom call. And he basically just like asked me all these questions, like what's going on? Like who are you, basically? And I was like, I don't really know what's happening. I'm just an artist.
He just said what's going on like 3 times. You would say an answer, and he was like, no, like what's going on?
But who's really
but what's
behind me?
really going on?
And I was like, I think this is just cool.
What's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? And I get an email from him the next day, and he's like, we're adding your song to On the Horizon.
Oh,
So
cool.
it was such a cool,
Yeah.
super blissful time, and that led to meeting with managers and taking all those, all the meetings. And eventually I landed with Pete Olson, who I'm still with today. I adore him. He's the best manager ever, like just a saint of a human. And we work really, really well together. So it's been great.
That's amazing. That's
kind of how it all kicked off, though. It's just a whirlwind.
That is
That
amazing.
is so cool.
Pete Olson from Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah.
Really? You know?
Yeah. Well, my wife is from right over there. So
Okay.
they geek out about all the small town, northern,
Yeah.
northwest Illinois, weird stuff. And so, Rockford, Illinois. That's
Love
awesome.
it.
And I think somewhere around there, I have this weird memory. Mike and I think, share this quality in that we remember all of these really unimportant things.
Yeah.
But like where the keys are to the car, hard sometimes. At least for me, But I have this memory somewhere after. So you start to get added to Hot Country, and you're in serious rotation. And somewhere after that, there's like an ice storm in Nashville, where everything shuts down. But it happened to like coincide with you getting like 1 million streams across platforms. And I just remember because it's so rare for an independent artist. It's only happened to like a few of my friends where before they even have a record deal, they get 1 million streams. And I just remember being like, wow, that's cool. And I sent you $30.
You did.
Yeah.
For champagne.
Yes. I
remember this so well.
Here's $30.
Well, you didn't
Yes.
send her champagne, you sent her money?
Yeah.
Well, no,
but then
because we couldn't. Yeah.
Oh, because there's still COVID.
COVID,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
So,
yeah.
but then I realized,
COVID
I think I
infected
sent it and I realized everything's closed.
Yeah.
That was the first Apple Pay I'd ever received. I didn't know what to do with it.
Look at that.
love
Forward
that.
thinking. Who created Apple
truly,
Pay?
It was the first Apple Pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Apple.
Mike
Not
created
me,
it.
But I do know who runs it. Yeah. Another person. But anyway. Wait, that was still in COVID? That was early 2021?
I just remember being like, oh, cool, 1 million. And it was like only the second time that
it's so
I had a
good.
person that I knew that did that. And I was like, here's $30. I think you can get a decent bottle of something
Absolutely.
with bubbles in it for $30.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And you
remember that
did
so
somehow.
well.
I don't know what you did. Did you put on like a parka? Did you sled to the?
I think desperate times, like you can really get to champagne however you need to.
$30.
Well, I mean,
Practically tap
It's like,
water.
I need it.
okay, Mike.
$30.
Yeah,
Jeez.
I'm gonna go
like,
ahead and Apple Pay.
I'd like a bottle of your house champagne. Yeah.
Hey, I loved it. It was the
No,
kindest
it
thing
was.
ever.
We're just giving Drew a good time.
I thought like a bottle of La Marca is like $14. So you.
That's my favorite.
La Marca
too.
is
It's just
like
it's solid. Like you
solid.
can't beat it.
No,
top.
it's true.
I'm not talking about Andre.
Franzia in a box.
You got that boot.
I'm not above any of this stuff, guys. Just so everybody knows, I'm not above anything.
I'll drink a
good.
sparkling barefoot. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't.
If it's what you got,
Truly.
that's what I always say. I prefer cold beer unless it's warm.
Okay, so then what happened? I'm dying to know.
All right. So anyway, so she gets to 1 million streams,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
somehow she acquires this
Yeah.
champagne, but
Yes.
$30
On the
champagne.
deck, it's
Point.
snow everywhere.
And then she threw up.
Spraying it. Yeah. Then she had a hangover for 4 days.
We did. Oh, jeez.
but I think like basically she met Pete, and at that time he was with a different company, but he's broken off on his own now,
So he's
which is
independent as well. Or no?
as he's his own management company,
Okay. Okay.
and there it seems like the future is just super bright.
Yes.
Things are looking really great right now. Honestly, there was a bit of a lull period, if I'm just totally transparent with you. On no one's end except for my own. Like, I released 2 EPs, about 2 years apart. I did 2020 and then 2022. And I put my heart and soul into these. Y'all know, you put everything you have into these projects. And I'm such a concept person. Like, if I know where something is heading conceptually, I can get really, really excited about it. I do not get excited about the burn and churn single game thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people can do that, and I love and admire that greatly, but I just can't get excited from an artist standpoint about singles that are just going to live for 6 weeks and then die, and you're never going to talk about it again. So all that being said, I just got really excited about these 2 concepts, and then I just didn't know what was next. And I think all of it happened so quickly that I had the experience, and I had I played 300 shows in Missouri. I played my butt off, but I didn't know what else to say. I didn't know where I wanted my music to necessarily go yet. I did 3 singles back to back to back that had no vision of where they were heading in the future. And I think I just hit a point where I didn't know what was next, and I kind of froze. And I don't know if that's a common thing for artists to do, but I imagine that some other people have experienced that, where they're just I don't, this is all overwhelming and it's amazing in the best way, but I don't know. I just didn't know what to do.
Where you go next, or what my next step
there was an
is.
8-month period where I didn't release anything. And that I didn't realize how much time had gone by until I was getting ready to release my next single. But looking back, it was just, it was that quarter life crisis thing where I was like really just being like, who am I? What do I want? Honestly, that's like the whole period where like I got saved again. Like I started going to church again. Like I found the Lord, and that like has changed my life in every single way imaginable.
And that was then?
That was then. Like I got everything I wanted on the smallest scale.
Right.
Like I got a little taste of radio. I got the biggest playlist you can get. I got all these meetings and everyone wants to meet with me and talk and blah, 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 blah. I'm getting all this attention. And like, I felt so empty, if I'm being so real with y'all. Like I thought it was everything I ever wanted. And they were highlights and they felt great and like, yay, cool. And then they fade so fast. And I felt so like.
So it's like buying a nice thing. You get it.
It's
And then
super
in the middle
fun.
of it, you're
Yeah.
like,
Feels
okay,
so
now
good.
what?
And then you're
Right,
like,
yeah.
yeah, next. Yeah.
You
So
have to be happy within, right? So then it's like exudes like all the time. But if it's just like a shiny object, then it's like, okay, that got old all of a sudden.
Particularly if you're writing songs, because you got to write about something.
Right.
Totally.
So you can either be really introspective or you can be observational. But I always wonder, this really cool video I just was watching about being in the bar, right, and not really being happy. Where'd that come from?
From that time. So
Really?
again, there's like, that was one of the first times I'd written a song that I was experiencing in that moment.
Really?
And really taught me like the power of being vulnerable when you're in that vulnerability,
Right,
not just as a reflective vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Happy in this bar, I was going out constantly. I was partying. I was just like being the like girl that always says yes. And I still am like, I'm fun. I'm bubbly. Like I like doing those things, but like it was all consuming. And I felt like I had to be this character to people.
Right.
And I felt so lost as who I was as a person. Yet I'm going out to the bars and smiling and laughing and cheersing and whatever. And it was just like, this isn't it. Like, this can't be what my whole life and career looks like. So there was a lot of slowdown. There was a lot of reflection, and I had to get back to like why I'm doing this in the first place, which is like that little girl I was telling y'all about earlier that just wanted to escape and write music because it's healing. And I feel like I got back to that point, and I'm writing music that I'm so proud of and so excited about. And I'm like back to that place of like, it's art again to me. And it just feels, it feels so good.
Well, maybe that brings us back to that very first question about the AI, right? So like you're leaning into something that's like innately human, but also like I've noticed country music, the world knows about it now. Yeah. Had like there's been periods of time where like 5 number ones in the Hot 100 or 5 songs in the Hot 100 are country songs. Yeah. Which is nuts. I think currently Shabuzi's song is number 1.
Wall Street Journal just came out saying that country music is hotter than it's ever been.
I think so.
Amazing.
And so what happens is when something becomes really, really popular, the non-creative folks come in and commoditize it.
Right.
And it becomes just a big caricature of itself. And you go to Red Door at a certain time and you see a bunch of carbon copies. Everybody's exactly the same person, and they're all here doing the exact same thing, and they're writing the same songs about the same whiskey that doesn't work anymore. Yeah. And I joke with Wendy about that. But yeah, so so I can see how quickly, like if you're trying to win at a game and you're trying to do it by being the best carbon copy, that kills you.
That's exhausting.
Yeah, and by the way, AI can do that a lot better than any person could do in terms of carbon copying. And so it's like just maybe the thing that makes a person special today is exactly what you're describing. It's like leaning into that vulnerability and saying, screw it. Everybody else can put out a single every single week, and I'm going to just put out really, really good music, and hopefully it does something. Yeah. And I can survive. I mean, sounds like what you're kind of saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That period happened in that period. So following that, how have you seen people react to your music? Like following that period, or like
the new stuff, I've never had responses like it before. Like Eyes and Ears, like it's on a great track right now, but like the radio stuff like happened so early on that I had like more Eyes and Ears initially, and watching it like develop into this thing, like the feedback I'm getting from this project now is the best I've ever gotten, which is so because exciting. The responses are meaningful. It's not like fun song, yay. It's like, I don't know. I feel like they're getting it, and like I feel seen, and I feel like we're all like connecting on this thing that is so intangible, but like bigger than us.
Speaking to people.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Your songs are actually like people are able to like put themselves in the place where she was, and they're feeling what she's saying, what she's singing, right?
Yeah. And I I believe what I'm saying more than ever.
Exactly.
So there's like that translates too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well,
it's good they don't have a label telling you to do something. Do this
right, you're able to be free and creative in your own.
Write us a hit like the other one. Right, yeah.
Well, typically they don't say what to do. They say what. Just no.
They don't like it.
I got you.
Like, no, not that.
Do you sing other people's songs or just your own? You just record your own, or do you ever?
I only recorded my own up until this point, but I think eventually, like especially on a full length, I'll do some covers in there.
Yeah.
I do have a question that hopefully you're willing to talk about.
Uh-oh.
All right, so
I'm like, I don't know what this is.
I'm crazy.
you have a song. Yeah, you have a song that was recently released. That's awesome, and it is called "Homemade Margaritas."
I love that song.
I know where this is going.
And yeah, I think it's identical to at least the instrumental of the Blake Shelton Post Malone song that was just released. That we heard. I don't remember if you were still there, but we heard we heard the premiere of that song at Spotify House at Old Red.
Oh, I didn't hear it. I think I left before that.
It feels a little identical, and I'm not saying like similar, identical. We don't have. We're not going to get any of this license, so I won't play it here. But I don't know if you want to talk about that or move on or what.
Honestly, I don't have a lot to say about it. Like when I first heard it, I was like, "Aw," like it's kind of like "Oh, dang, that sounds very similar." But honestly, I've never I've posted about it a couple times and just kind of poked fun at it and been like lighthearted about the whole thing because I genuinely I don't think anything like malicious went on or anyone like intentionally stole my music or anything like that. But I know how many times I've been in a room writing a song and been singing a melody. Oh, this melody is cool, blah blah blah. And later on, I start singing that melody I came up with, and then I'm singing different lyrics over it and realize, oh, that's Keith Urban's song, or whatever it is. I'm like, I just know how easy it is to subconsciously take things sometimes and
let's do a remix. Let's combine the two
and
songs and make it a number one song in the entire world.
Right, that happens over and over again.
Pour me a homemade margarita.
Yeah, let's do it.
I see it as I saw it as a cool opportunity to potentially get some ears on my song, but it's not at all a thing where I
say we combine them. Remember Shania Twain with Mutt Lange's pour some sugar on me, and then she was like, what was the song that she released? Because Mutt Lange did all those.
Right.
Def Leppard, AC/DC.
Right.
Well, a lot of these people,
I'm in it. I'm saying I'm with her.
Well, she's not. She's independent and she's got the right attitude. Look, it's a lot of negative energy to sue people. And you're not going to beat Post Malone and Blake Shelton in a lawsuit.
But I want to. I love them. I love Post Malone. I love Blake Shelton. I would never want to
It's just a lot of wasted energy sometimes.
I think it'd be cool for her to do a little fun remix on social media. Why not?
I need a DJ. Do you have a DJ that can do a little mashup?
We should do a mashup. Would be so cool.
Yeah.
Let's get on
Let's do it. Put some EDM in the background.
But if they want to take me on tour, I would not be mad.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Post Malone and Blake, we have your new opening act right here.
We'll listen to it afterwards. The intro is and the instrumental is identical. But one of the things about it, though, is...
Actually, maybe they'll be your opening act.
Okay.
Exactly.
For example, one of my guitar player friends plays on 20 different artists' albums. And so the reality is that it's highly likely that somebody, because a lot of the artist is the songwriter or the songwriters are the songwriter, but when it's coming to life in production, a lot of times there's guitar players, bass players, piano players in the studio who are like, ooh, what if we did this? You could get out of the way here. And then if it's the same person who's also on that and in that, there's a likelihood that maybe it kind of sounds somewhat similar.
Right.
Or what if we switch this chord to that? Mm-hmm. They're not getting a songwriting credit, but it changes the song and it brings it a little bit more towards what maybe something else might sound like. So,
I will say that I'm very excited for Posty's country album coming out.
I am too.
I'm so stoked for that. I'm just dying. I'm counting down. Let's go.
And here's the thing: he's been talking about this for so long and hinting at this for so long. I don't feel like it's necessarily that trend thing where it's oh, country's cool. Okay, cool. I'll hop on it. He genuinely has been. When was that country cover out for? That
was a long time ago.
Years ago. Years and years.
Long time ago. Yeah, he's been talking about this for years. In fact, he stayed next door to my house when he performed at Coachella, and he drove with us. We drove him to his show and back, and the whole time he was so cool with the girls. He was playing guitar and stuff like that, and his manager they were so fun, and he was talking about it then. So this is let's go back to when he performed at Coachella. How many years ago was that?
It's a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, it was years.
I remember when that happened.
And we talked about it in the car going to perform, and on the way back, he was like, "Oh yeah, that'd be so cool," because he knew I was into country music.
Yeah, he headlined one night at Lollapalooza. It was the first festival that happened after COVID. And I just remember him coming out, and the first thing out of his mouth was, all right, everybody, if this sucks, It's because of COVID.
Dude, I love him. I just love him.
And then he just, Rockstar starts playing.
Right.
Or Circles or something.
So funny.
But yeah.
I love it.
I mean, also too, like he's doing the Nashville thing. He's hanging out at Losers, buying everybody shots, getting on stage for a song.
I think he's
likes just doing it.
I don't know for sure, but I mean, I think that he just likes the normalcy of Nashville. Like Nashville is just a cool place to be if you're an entertainer, celebrity, or whatever, because people are just fun and they don't get all weirded out,
Yeah, we don't have like TMZ.
No, and you don't have people can go to bars like Luke Bryant. These guys can go to Losers and hang out at the bar and have a drink, and they can actually live like normal people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
All right, so you've really kind of done quite a bit. You're about to release more music, go on the road.
And we're gonna all be at her first concert on tour. I'm going.
Is it in Canada?
I'm going. Heck yeah.
Go.
Where is it?
Oh.
Somebody else's job to remember all that. It's in the calendar. It's in the calendar.
Yeah.
Oxford, I think. Oxford, Mississippi.
We should
or
go.
Birmingham? Question mark. Somewhere down there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Easy. I'm going. Girls and I are front row right there.
Let's go.
I'm serious. I'm screaming loudest.
Do it. So I guess I'm just curious, like in your mind, the next 5 years, you've like kind of refocused.
Well, let's
being true to
backtrack
yourself.
1 second. She's married now.
Oh yeah.
I got
Her
married.
husband's a pastor. So
Yeah.
he has a
Oh, wow.
church, right? A church here? Or
He's a worship pastor.
a worship pastor. Okay.
Sings
Yeah.
on Sundays.
So what is the goal for the two of you? Like, obviously your goal is to be a recording artist and tour and stuff. Now, do you ever sing at his church? Like, do you ever do any stuff like that?
No, I don't. I decided pretty early on after I started going to church again that music for me, I love it with all my heart. And I never want you do it for a living though, know? And like when I get on stage, I'm performing. I'm an artist. I'm doing the thing. And so I never want to get on stage at church leading people in something as precious as worship and like
perform,
make that about me or perform in any way. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I would get those two confused a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I've just kind of checked myself on that and maybe one day like I'll feel not in that place. But right now, I don't. But they have the most incredible worship team. I mean, we're in Nashville, so like if you can imagine, like every vocalist on stage, I'm like, I don't have any business being up there. Like they are amazing. It's
cool.
stunning.
I love that. I have to ask you what the church is because the girls and I are looking for a new church in Nashville.
Perfect.
Yes.
But our plan, like, he would love to be on the road with me eventually. So I think whenever that time comes, like when I have a bus, all that kind of stuff, I think
that'll be so cool.
He'll definitely come join. And he's the most creative human
I love that.
ever. He did my last like few cover arts and stuff.
Oh,
wow. He has a clothing line and like all this kind of thing. So
that's so cool.
yeah,
I love it.
He's very, very talented. He's helped with a lot of my merch and that kind of thing too. So we'll put him to work. We'll get him on the road and give him some kind of job.
That's fantastic.
That is fantastic.
awesome.
It's a great team.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and
Drew, I
then
interrupted
no, it's. I mean, she kind of answered the question I was going to ask. Is like, okay, let's just keep rolling with this thing, and it's a family affair now, and let's get it on the road and get as big as you can possibly get it.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. So, got another question. Actually, two. One is sort of about the business of being an independent artist, because as time goes on, more and more of especially the touring part of the music industry is controlled by a small number of people, and the costs associated with getting down the road are controlled by a small number of people. It's really expensive to be an independent artist.
Yeah.
Like, how the heck does somebody, not even just you, does anybody who wants to be out there and get their music out there and travel around, how do they do that in 2024 from a financial standpoint?
That's such a good question that I ask myself every single day in the mirror. I don't know. It's so expensive. And I think early on, it's so great being in Nashville for that reason specifically, because it's such a relational town and everyone, for the most part, everyone's new here to some degree, and everyone's an implant. Like everyone's here from different parts of the world, ready to make new friends, ready to seek opportunities. And like, I think surrounding yourself with people who you really believe in and who really believe in you, and just like helping each other as much as you can, both financially, but also just like with favors and stuff like that stuff. It's like the rising tide raises all ships thing. Like so much of that is what has gotten me to where I am now. Like honestly, like my photographer is the sweetest person in the entire world. You know, Krista, she's the best.
Love her.
And she's my photographer. She's my tour manager. She's she does everything. Like she takes on so many roles that she doesn't have to, just because she like knows that one day down the road, like we'll be able to like work everything out. And like I bring up her specifically because like she's like the most extreme example of that. Like she really is just like loyal to a fault, like the absolute best. But I don't know. I think like breaking it down seriously financially, like obviously everyone has to get paid and everyone has to make a living and all of that. And then you just do what you can for people when you can, just because you can, you know? Right. And then I think when you put that out there, a lot of that stuff comes back to you too. So there have been ways I've been able to cut corners. I've been doing a lot of like brand deals and stuff too that brings in money on the side, which is awesome. And then streaming revenue, it's not great, but it's there.
Give us an example of a brand deal that you did, like how it worked.
The most recent one was Harimari. It's like a flip-flop brand. Mm-hmm. And they reached out over social media and wanted to work together. And I just like did like a get ready with me kind of video on Instagram and tried on different outfits and then showed off their flip-flops and they paid me.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's great.
Basic influencer brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. But awesome. Also like I only work with brands that like I love and believe in. And right. Yeah, it just kind of builds everything up because you're like kind of establishing more about what you stand for and stuff too. As I'm talking about, flip-flops, but you know what I mean. Like it's
right.
No pun intended. Yeah. But but yeah,
you want to flip flop in your flip flops. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times like I don't know, like I've had amazing producers that I've gotten to work with, which have been just amazing. And you just save up every penny you can and pay people what they need. And I don't know, it's so hard. And I'm not kidding you when I say like every day you kind of just figure it out. Like, okay, in 3 months, I'm going to owe this person this amount of money for this project or whatever. So like, how do I backtrack? What do I need to do on the side or extra to get that money to get everyone paid?
So you're going on tour. How big are the venues you're going to now? The next one?
I think they kind of range depending on the markets, but I think there's a 3,000 cap down to like 400 or 500. Mm-hmm. Everything in between.
Do you do anything differently depending on the size of it?
Nah. No, not really. I mean, I like to perform the same way, whether it's one person or
right.
Well,
10,
I think Zach Bryan's show is the great example of how you can take a show that would work in a club and put it in a stadium.
Yeah. His show is one of the best concerts
and
I've
it's
ever
like,
been to.
Cool.
He figured that out. He's like, oh no, there have been times though where I was watching something in a club and it didn't make sense, especially like lighting wise. And then I saw it at like Ascend. And I'm like, oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It makes sense at Ascend, but that's awesome. No, thank you for that candid response. All right, one final question before we get out of here. So, in the music world, do you think that when you look around and you see people who are having success, however they might define that, is that luck, skill, who you know, determination, money, some combination of all that? Like, what makes a person do well in this world?
I think you hit all of them. I think every single person's path is so different from the next. And sometimes it's 3 of those things. Sometimes it's all of them. Sometimes it's one. Like, I don't think there's no recipe. There's no straight answer. But I think like your best chances come with a ton of hard work and determination and surrounding yourself with the right people, not in like an opportunistic way, but in a way of like good people that will just have your back and like look after you, and you'll do the same for them. And I think that just ends up playing out eventually down the road. If you just really, really work, keep your head on straight, and surround yourself with good people, I think it's just kind of like, that's the little recipe. And then wait it out. It's like a time thing too. Like there's not wait on and sit on your hands, but like work your butt off and like understand it's going to take a lot of time. Like I've been here now for 5 years. 5 years. And like, I thought I'd be a lot further along than I am, just transparently. Like I thought I'd be way further by the time I was 5 years into this town, but I'm looking around and I understand like it just does. You just have to put the time in, and it's baby steps every single day, one brick at a time, and I don't know. I just think that eventually all that stuff shows up.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
How do we find your tour info?
HalleKearns.com/tour.
Yay.
Nice domain. That's a good domain.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Guys, thank you for having me.
We're
Seriously,
so excited to have
thank you.
You're awesome.
We can't wait to
see you. We can't wait to see you
Yeah.
just absolutely keep going and crushing it.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, good luck.
Headlining all the way.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes.
Here we go. Thank you.
Thank you. You're amazing.